All right. It did turn off your cameras and muted you because we're starting recording. Feel free to turn it back on. Um, or please do, and we'll get started. Can you guys give me a thumbs up if you could hear me okay? Okay, good. So my mic is on. All right. Let me start the slideshow and share my screen. And of course, my window again disappeared, but I think you could see it now. All right. I promise you we will try to keep that way under an hour. We'll stay here. We reserved it a little longer in case you have any questions. I'm Vlad Rabinovich. I'm regional commissioner for our league. We have Gwen Link, who is our coach administrator. And we have Marcel, another board member here, who is our treasurer. He decides what we can afford to purchase for you guys and what we can't. And we have some good news to share as well. Something new from previous seasons. So, um, all right. So as I said, we're going to try to run this through. I'm going to go pretty quickly through the first couple of slides. We now have about 335 players. We are going to be hopefully filling the remaining spots. There's maybe 1 to 2 spots per each age division that remains. Except for maybe 10 U boys. I think they're full. We're not going to be creating any more teams, but if some coaches will accept a 13th player, although I don't recommend it. So, in any rate, that's where we are. If you have a few neighbors or kids that want to join, please let them know. We do have record numbers in our 5U and 6U divisions. They will be full, and I think we have to form 10 teams in our 6U division, which is new for us. We're grateful for that. And for grateful to you guys for volunteering and for trusting us to run the program in our community. Primarily, that's what we do. There's 60 coaches, actually probably a little more, that are volunteering this season. We do throw an appreciation party at the end. We got I think, soccer Jim into hosting and opening up his house again one time. If not, we'll host a party. Unfortunately, we got rained out last season, and we had to postpone and just did not work out. But we do want you guys there. So our season typically consists of 8 matches. We do have a break in October for APS school break. I think October 8th, something like that, through I don't remember. It's that the usual week that we're off. There's not going to be any practices or games during that week. But if you guys have any questions, or if your team wants to host and you're there, you can't, because we don't have fields reserved during that week. But the practices will take place 6 to 7 p.m. I think Gwen will cover that a little bit later. So we don't have a lot of flexibility. We have maybe a few spots here or there that folks can practice additional, but it's pretty much set. So really quickly, want to cover our shared mission and values, something specific about our region, and then provide you the coaching information. And that's the reason you probably joined us. For those that cannot attend, this meeting is being recorded. We'll post it. Behind the paywall means you have to be registered as a coach anyway in our system, but we'll provide you a link, and you'll be able to access it on our website. To review any information, we'll try to put it all in one place for you, so you don't have to click around and find it. So we'll try to keep it all in one place. All right. So with that said, the mission and vision for AYSO are to provide world-class youth soccer program that enriches children's life. And we always strive our best to provide that quality of a program. This is not something we've created. We follow national guidelines and national philosophies of open registration, balanced team, positive coaching, good sportsmanship, player development, and everybody plays. Basically, we don't have tryouts. It's open for anyone in the community to join. We focus on balanced teams and player development as much as we can. These are the goals for our league. We see its success when kids do try out for, let's say, other clubs and make it pretty high levels at some cases. So we do find that we did our job as coaches and happy for those kids as well. Oh, guess what? We had a slide that explains all these. All right, I'm gonna keep moving. For those that might not know, Lenton Donovan was an AYSO player, and he did say that one of the biggest beefs that he had is when coach was taking the winning way too seriously. And in AYSO, it is always about player development, giving players equal time to play during the game. This is your jobs as coaches to ensure that that happens. You are supposed to keep track. Number of quarters each player plays. So please, during the game, have a cheat sheet with you. You could set up your roster so you keep track of how many quarters each player plays. But we do try to provide that playing time, the touches on the ball. This is why the kids signed up, and it's not to be the bench warmers. So I was witnessing a practice outside of our organization the other day, and the coach screaming at the kids is always hurting my ear in that regard. There's no reason to scream at the kids or make them do push-ups when they make a mistake. That's not necessarily positive coaching, and there's other great ways to develop players. And my point being is that if they can't make mistakes at practice, where can they make mistakes? So again, we do not have winning above all else as our motto here. So please keep that in mind. And those that been with us for many seasons, you guys know our culture and what we're about. All right, Gwen, do you want to take over from here?
Yeah, I can take over, and I'm actually going to keep my camera off. I know that we're recording, but I keep getting a low internet connection, so I'm just going to apologies that it's going to be a talking head for you guys. Um, I'm Gwen Link. I am part of the board, and I coach both 8U boys and the 10U girls, which has now joined Upper Girls for this season. I'm excited to share a couple of things that we'll have for you guys. But just before we get started into some of this, quick, either raise your hand in the teams or give a reaction if this is your first time coaching. I'm looking at folks, and I actually think a number of you have already coached before. Yeah. Okay, Andrew, thanks for, well, first off, right, thank you for all being here. That's like number one. Thanks, Wade. Two, like huge thanks for coaching, especially for stepping up and coaching. If we recruited you last minute at the Jamboree, or whether you've been coaching for a number of years, like it makes the league what it is when you're dedicating that time and commitment. So very, very grateful. As we know, all of this is voluntary. So what I'm going to cover are just some of the basics that the league requires related to coaching, and then just how to be an effective coach. There are a couple of just tips and pointers that we can give to you. And then since they are so many folks who have joined in coaching before, would welcome you guys to share from your own experience as well. So when you registered, you probably saw a couple of things related to coaches training. Why do we do coaches training? Really, it's to make sure that we have consistency across the league, player safety, age-appropriate coaching, but most importantly, it also is for our insurance, right? Making sure that we're covered from a league purpose. So we want everyone to have completed their coach training. You'll see kind of what those coach certifications look like in this next in the next slide. But before we go there, if you haven't completed your online coach training, trust me, Jim will come and knock on your door for that. But they are all available online. We do have an on-field training as well. It's pretty awesome. Pete does this. He's a national coach instructor. It's going to be on the day of the first game, September 6th, but it's going to be after the games. So we're hoping to make sure that we've got some of the timings confirmed based off of Pete's availability and then also based off of the player availability, but it will be sorry, not player, but coach availability, but it will be on um at the Boys and Girls Club in Bourne.
Sorry, Gwen.
Yeah, and
It's the week before the games.
oh, it's a week before the games. My bad. I thought it was starting the week of the games.
Oh,
Okay. Well, that's even better. And yeah, if you see the chat, right, like Jen and Jeremy, I think Dave, Dan, you may have joined it last year as well, but really good session. Highly recommend what he does. It's you get so many good coaching tips and like quick little drills that you can do while the kids are coming in for the session, but then also during the practice itself. So a shout out for Pete's training on September 6th. So I mentioned this earlier, but these are the certifications and the training that we need to complete. And if you can see over here in the status, right, there's either a green status, verified, none, or it's expired. What we're looking for is green all the way through. So at some point in the coaching, during the coaching season, we'll make sure all our coaches have this so that we have that consistency across all teams.
Gwen, I did want to mention, please do not upload any certificates to your account. It turns out it messes up the synchronization between those sites and Sports Connect. They will automatically grab the status from those sites. So you just need to complete it and the system should reflect that information. Anytime you're having the issue where it's not reflecting correct status, just let us know. And we'll have national office assist us with synchronizing this.
Cool. Thanks, Vlad. We can go to the next slide. So we've completed the digital rosters, like Vlad mentioned. We do have a couple people who are still registering. So we're moving and swapping folks around as one, we see those late registrations, or two, we hear from parents and the practice might not work for them. We're trying to minimize those because we know US coaches want to get your emails out, start the season off well. But if there are any swaps, it will be minimal, and we'll reach out to you directly in this. Okay, thanks for reminding me that the first games start on the 13th. I thought they started on the 6th. So practice starts next week. You should have already received the practice schedule, and we'll have that posted on the AYSO site as well. Again, another shout out for the coaches training. If you can join, it's going to be worth your while. And then the first games are going to be the week of 9/13. Any questions so far?
Yeah, please unmute yourselves if you have a question or raise your hand, whichever you prefer.
Yeah, Gwen, are games at Grant Park this year, or are they at the Boys and Girls Club as well?
Vlad, do you want to cover that?
Yeah. All the practices are going to be held at Walker or Benteen. All the games will be held at Grant Park. If you are 3 for free, 5U, 6U, and 8U, and if you're 10 and under and higher, we are going to have one game at a time at the Boys and Girls Club. So we got, I think, 5 or 6 hours reserved there on Saturdays. We'll probably start with our 10U divisions, get them going first, followed by uppers. At least that's
Thank
the
you.
now that we have those time slots allocated for those teams. Does
Hopefully that helps, Jacob.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
For
great.
the
Thank you very much.
yeah, so you guys will be at Grand Park, which will be great. So we'll go over the practice in a minute, the practice fields, but as a reminder, it's Benteen and Walker Park, and then games will be Boys and Girls and Grand Park.
We're just starting to exceed the field space and allotted, and we really don't want to keep going until like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It's just a long day for everybody, and everyone has families, including our volunteers, and I'm sure they want to get the games done and then move on with the rest of their day. So we're gonna try to get the younger kids done by hopefully by noon. And everyone else that are doing the 10U and uppers will go from 9 until probably about 2:30 or so. At least that's the plan right now.
So this next session is going to cover quickly just the bottom line up front is how to be a good coach for the season, and what we want to make sure is that you are set up for success. So there are a few things we from the league can offer you. A couple of things that's just quick hits. Whenever you're starting the season, it's really helpful to have a welcome email. Jacob, I know you mentioned today that you've already sent yours to your team, which is fantastic. There are a couple of sample emails that I've linked in this over here. For the most part, what you want to cover is an introduction, who your kid is on the team, the day of the week that we would practice, the time, the location, and then an encouragement for the parents to get involved as well. We want to encourage them that this is not a drop off and practice session. It's a come get, make sure that they're involved wherever needed. The other things that we would say in this email is, what to bring: shin guards, water bottle, the appropriately sized soccer ball, and then however you want to set up snacks and a team parent to help. So that's what's in those welcome emails. You can use the sample and you can just lift and shift the, where we have insert your name, insert practice, or you can tweak it as you need. The first training session, again, it's really about just welcoming the team, setting up some expectations. Then there's some pre-game preparation and before the and after session. So we'll do a little bit of each of these things, but a lot of your training will cover that too. If you go to the next slide, the slide covers off a little bit of what I just mentioned, right? What's your expectation as a coach, the introduction, just encouraging. The league really, really wants to encourage that positive sideline, a kid zone. So no yelling, right? Parents get super into this, but we want to make sure that the kids are having a good time and truly getting that development. And the key for me in my first coach's email is always trying to recruit as many folks to help where needed. Any questions so far? Okay, cool. We can keep going. The next slide is going to cover off on just the practice fields. That's the key piece you want to include in your welcome email. We practice Monday through Thursday. Like Lad mentioned, it's only going to be from 6 to 7 because of the field space. And we have either Benteen or Walker Park. So you might have a parent or two that raises their hand and says, hey, I have some conflicts and stuff. If that's the case, either direct them our way, or what I would also encourage is see who else might have something similar and then encourage the carpool. I've been in a situation myself where my daughter's been playing in Walker and I'm coaching in Benteen, and we just set up a carpool with other parents who were doing the exact same thing.
With that said, I do have to remind coaches, AYSO prohibits us, the coaches, being alone in the car with another child, especially of opposite sex. So just a friendly reminder for those that were not aware of that rule. So meaning if you're carpooling your own child and a friend, please drop off the friend first. I don't know how that situation will not happen, but we had some scenarios and one issue, nothing happened bad, but we had a scenario where a parent asked specifically for something not to occur, and unfortunately it did. So just a friendly reminder.
Let's go on with the first training sessions. First training session is really where you get a chance to, set the expectations and what you want to get out of it for this season. So I've always done where the kids introduce themselves, they share what they want to get out of it, but then also having just a quick little scrimmage at the end to help them get really into this. AYSO's philosophy, again, development over winning, and they really stress this: no lines, no laps, no lectures, which I appreciate. um and so setting it up for development in that regards. Does anyone else want to share what they've done in their first training session to set up your team for success? I know we've got a number of like returning coaches, so we'd be really interested in hearing kind of what your best practice is.
Hi, Jen Burkhart here. I normally coach like a 5U, 6U kind of age range, and I have found that one of the cool things that kind of like bonds all these kiddos that typically don't know each other together is allowing them to pick the team name. Like, go ahead and introduce that idea at the very start as we're saying our names, and then tell them to think about it. And whenever you can tell that things are starting to like devolve a little bit or we need to regroup, you use that as an opportunity to get people excited again and like circle up and let's decide on who we are, kind of thing.
I love that, Jen. Thanks for sharing. Anyone else?
I think Brendan has his hand up.
Yeah, the team name's a good one. The other icebreaker I've used quite a bit is just telling everyone their favorite food. It's just a very easy entry point for a lot of the shy kids, especially. And a lot of the kids get to joke around about what foods they like and don't like and stuff. And I found that helps a lot.
That's great. Yeah, agreed.
We had a circle going with each kid's name, saying their name and the favorite food. So variation to what Brendan was mentioning. But great ideas. And they would pass the ball basically in that circle and say, my name is Vlad and I pass the ball over and I love pizza. And I pass the ball to the next player, and then you could start asking them, quizzing them if you want. All right, anyone else? All right.
Well, thank you guys for sharing. I think the biggest thing that I've done outside of coaching during the week is really getting my mind and the team ready for the game. So I'm always sending a note and just quick reminder of, hey, we are wearing either our solid color or right the gray color in the reverse jersey, reminding the team about what time we're playing, as well as any rosters that we might have. And then I always keep an eye on weather, which we will talk about weather in a minute. But that's probably one of the biggest things I think of a coach, rather outside of the actual practice itself and the games. It's really the prep into the game. So here are a couple of tips that you want to just use as you're getting ready for that first game on the 13th. And then during the game, which is in the next slide, there are a couple of things that you want to be able to do just before the session and then after the session, making sure that you're arriving on time. I typically have the balls out and available so that the kids are practicing what we've just learned in the coaching sessions, but then also giving them the chance to warm up. I find another icebreaker is also giving them the ability to warm themselves up. So picking a captain and then having them, count out and like share what the warm up is. So that's always helpful. And then after the session, here are a couple of tips. You want to make sure we do the high fives with the other team. I like the limiting of the post-match speeches, especially for the younger kids. My 8U boys probably will not stick around that long if I was to give them a speech, but the 10U girls might be interested in a little, hey, what can we do better, that type of stuff. And then I'm typically the last to leave the field unless I know there's another parent, and making sure like everyone else is off the field as well.
Gwen, we'll need to add one other item to the slide going forward, because I know it was covered in our U.S. Soccer Foundation coach training that they're kind of an umbrella under U.S. Soccer, but they basically explain that you do want to establish ground rules when you have the team assemble. They introduce themselves, and then you ask the kids, okay, what are some rules that we should have as a team? Basically, what we're looking for is that there's no pushing, there's no fighting, that we should respect each other. There's no name calling. So anytime, then you set that up at the very beginning. So anytime something like that happens, you would just easily come back to it and remind the kids, hey, you remember what we agreed on? What are our ground rules? And it will be easier to reinforce it that way.
Yeah, that's great. I see a couple of suggestions in the chat as well, right? So encouragement of the players, and then good game, see you next week. And then I love, Marcel, what you put in of like hands in right before people start heading off and eating their snacks. Okay, let's keep the slides going. Vlad, I think you can skip this one. We don't really do this so much, but I do want to reemphasize, in case it's helpful, what the ball size are and then the game length, because I think that's useful. Vlad, I might have you talk through the 5U, 6U, because I've never had that. And Jen, I know, and Chris and others, I think you guys are on here and have coached that. It sounds like it's 10-minute halves at 4-on-4. Is that right?
Right. So you guys have, typically it's a 15-minute session for 5U and 6U. You have about 30 minutes of some type of an activity. Again, you will have the material available. You can prep or just pick whatever games and sessions you want to do during that hour. It will be suggested for you, but if you don't like those, feel free to swap them out. But you do want to have a session plan for every single practice, every activity, including for 5U and 6U. It's easily for them to get bored. So usually that 30 minutes you will find it will runs really fast with activities that you're running. You will forget that you're coaching, and sometimes and you will be having fun as well. With that said, after the 30 minutes, we set up a scrimmage and they play 10-minute halves or 5-minute quarters. We don't call them quarters, but basically 2 10-minute halves. The same thing for 6U as well.
And then 8U, you can see over here, we have 20-minute halves, and it's a 4-on-4. And we can break that up, the 20-minute halves. I know some teams have broken that up into different quarters as well. And then the 10U, 25-minute halves, 7-on-7, and then uppers are 30 minutes for 9-on-9.
And primarily coaches, sorry, go on. Primarily coaches break things into quarters is because referees will allow you to substitute players during that time. So for an 8U game for 20-minute halves at around 10 minutes, the referee will blow a whistle for a water break. This is really not time to, yeah, thank you, Jen. It's not really time to coach at that point. Just quickly make those substitutions, get them a sip of water, and get back on the field, primarily because the clock is running. That's the only way we can keep the games on time as well. So we don't want to take 5 minutes with a water break, because then whoever's left to play is going to get way less playing time in that second half.
And I saw the referees doing a really good job of this last season in spring, where they kept the clock running for water breaks, and it was just to like get back on the field after a water break, right, and take the longer break during the halves. Okay, so you might be asking, this is great. Well, what about the equipment that I might need to bring onto the field? Well, good news that we actually have the equipment that we can give everyone. There is a Google form that if you want to request the equipment, there's a whole bag and a kit that we would supply over to you the first week of practice. Vlad, do you want to talk through kind of the stuff that we purchased this season, and what Chris Wedge is going to be the person who will be organizing the equipment and then giving them all to the coaches?
Yeah, hopefully we'll have everything set up and bagged, and we'll drop it off at the first practice for you. We're really trying hard to do that. And Marcel has allowed us to purchase pop-up goals for every single team. So you will get a bag with a set of 2 goals. They might not be as nice as pug ones, but they're pretty nice. They're same size, 4x6. Now we do ask you to provide your firstborn as a collateral. With jokes aside, please return them at the end of the season. We can't afford to buy them every single year. So we'll try to help you with that process so you don't forget, and we'll hopefully stop by the last practice to pick them up. If not, just bring them to the last game and leave them with us. Brett asked, with upper having team sizes of 12 to 13 players, are we able to play 10 on 10? Yes, please be flexible with these suggestions. So if your upper division has more kids, obviously do allow. For uppers, you guys can play 11 on 11. Boys and Girls Club is a full size field. So if you have 13 kids and they want to play with just 2 subs, you could do that. Just make sure the teams are even sized at all times. Of course, unless the player gets sent off. Granted, that never happens in our league, but that's the only time the teams will not be even. But please
Brett,
start. Yeah.
It's a great question because the goal is we want to have the players getting as much play time as possible and as much touches on the ball, right? Touches on the field as possible too. So even though these are kind of the guidelines, you can absolutely be flexible to ensure that we have more of the players getting touches on the ball.
Yeah, and with the Boys and Girls Club field, they can actually accommodate more players. Now, it's still not ideal for 10U to do more than 7 for player development, but I totally get it. I'd rather have them play rather than have half the team sit out half the game. So totally understand, and just use common sense, please. We're not going to ask referees to enforce the side size rule in our league. We always tell them, as long as 2 coaches agree on the same number, then you guys can modify it. If you guys do not agree, both of you, then we're going to go based on what's published on this slide.
I think we can go over to what happens if there is inclement weather in Atlanta. And Vlad, do you want to talk about the games, and I can talk through the practices? So during the week, the coaches will make the calls for the practices. If there's a lot of thunder and lightning, right, and we're seeing a lot of activity in weather, the league might send out a notification as well related to that. And then the league typically would make a call for game days. Vlad, I think it'd be helpful context to share around what time we check for that. And I think Wilson is the one who really kind of provides some context here too.
There's going to be slightly different rules this year on different fields. Oh, sorry, we don't have Boys and Girls Club for practice. So that for practices, it's always going to be the same. We typically cannot play on wet fields. Not typically. We're not allowed to play fields on wet fields in City of Atlanta parks. So if the ground is completely wet, you're asked not to play. We can lose our permit if you do. And then we'll be in trouble with no place to play. So please respect that city rule. And the coaches make that determination. So obviously, if it's a slight drizzle, the ground is gonna very quickly absorb that, and the fields are not typically wet. If it's going to be full monsoon and rain, obviously use some common sense and do cancel the practice for both the safety of the player and for us complying with city regulation. For game time, we will have hopefully less rainouts I'm knocking on wood, less rainouts for 10U and upper boys, because Boys and Girls Club will allow to play if it's raining. Granted, if it's not safe, we will abandon those games. We'll have to reschedule, but unless there's lightning and thunder, those games are going to continue, lightning or thunder. Granted, they come together. For Grant Park, it's a little different. We still use the same rule. If the fields are wet, we will have to reschedule. Typically 5U and 6U, we don't reschedule those activities. Obviously, if we start missing 2 or 3, yes, we will figure out a way to fit those teams in during the week. Gwen, did I cover everything we needed here?
Yeah, I think so. I think the last slide on this is just about referees. And I love this because our referees are our kids, which is very much true, right? So Vlad does the referee training with the players. As long as they're 10 and above, they're a part of our program in this. And Vlad, since you managed through them, maybe you can share a little bit more about kind of the expectation of the coaches with the referees.
Yeah. Well, one thing I want to mention, if you have kids that are interested in one, getting paid and learning those good habits from age 10 onward, we do have a referee training class. In fact, I know some of the coaches here have their kids that have been trained and are referees on this meeting. And they can probably speak to how great it is for their development, social development, and confidence builder, and many other things. But keeping that in mind, we have youth referees. Please allow them to make mistakes. And I promise you, they will make mistakes. Some of them going to be atrocious, like it's supposed to be a corner kick versus goal kick. And anytime I hear coach or parent yelling, my reply is, who cares? The ball will come into play and change possession in the next 3 seconds. So please allow them to make mistakes. Obviously, if they're looking at you and making some egregious error, it's okay to ask the referee a question, a leading question, like who kicked it out last, and have them think about it. Yes, it might take them 10 seconds to answer that question. And then the following one, okay, so if they kicked it out, who gets the ball and where? And this is how they would learn during the game. Now, granted, it is not your job to train them, it is ours. And they do go through the class. The class is pretty long, it's about 4 to 5 hours long. And if they do take an exam, I say if, because 10-year-old will most likely not pass a soccer referee exam that's at that level, at a recreational level. But if they do, they will be able to transfer their license to U.S. Soccer Federation for a grassroots referee class, and then referee anywhere in the United States, for that matter, as long as they're 14 and over, or sometimes 13 and over. So with that said, just please be kind. Please don't yell at them. Please don't call for offside. I can guarantee you most of the time you do not understand what offside is. I'm sorry to say that, but even the kids can explain it way better sometimes. They go through the referee class than our coaches. So please allow them to make mistakes. I understand it's frustrating when they make those mistakes, but I don't recommend you guys playing an offside trap if you have a 12-year-old referee in the middle of a 10 under game. Now, they do have to be 2 years older to referee that age level. They do not have to repeat the training, but we will have a preseason refresher clinic, especially to go over any rule changes. This year, I believe there's a handball rule change again. So we'll basically watch some videos, some clips. It's not going to be me lecturing. It's going to be all made up of videos, like you make the call type of videos, a refresher on offside, and any law changes. One thing to mention just really quickly, I know we're 8:41 and we're wrapping up, but there's a new policy that came out from U.S. Soccer Federation, I believe this spring or this year. It's about referee abuse, and the penalties are pretty harsh. They will be posted on our site. They include game suspensions for any adult and any kid that yells at referee, and or puts any type of physical contact, for assault on youth referees, and any penalty against youth referee. We have a no tolerance policy, and the fines are typically game suspensions 3 times longer than if it was an adult referee. Most likely you will be asked not to return. So please just keep that in mind, there, kids. If you are frustrated, please take it out on me. I'm the one that trained them, and I will listen to you, I promise. And it's okay for me to take the referee aside and have the refresher type of training with them, remind them what they can improve on. rather than coaches in the heat of the moment yelling at the referees to say, hey, this is yellow ball, not blue for a throw in. Because I promise you the possession will change in the next 3 seconds. It does not matter. Now, we do want them to learn saying that, but all right. Do you guys have any questions about referees? But we do have a clinic coming up on September 7th. So if your child or anyone you know would like to attend, they are free. They just need to purchase their uniform. And I think I even give them a flag and a whistle and whatever else they need. And by I mean the league. It's not me personally.
So we've
Marcel,
got just one more,
yeah.
we've got one more section left. Sorry, go ahead, Marcel.
Oh, no, I was going to ask Marcel a question. Sorry, Gwen, what were you saying?
Oh, okay. I was just going to do a quick little summary, and then I know I saw Brendan your question in the chat. So we covered off on kind of the training that you might need to have as a coach. We've covered off on, what you need, the training clinic, as well as sending the parents the email, the practice fields, what to do to prepare for the first game, during the game, and then after the game, and then equipment, weather. Brendan, your question related to practice fields. The game schedule, I don't think, has been posted yet, but the practice schedule's just been posted, and it's going to be from 6 to 7, either at Benteen or at Walker Park. And Vlad, I think we're looking to post the game schedule latest by Monday?
No, yeah, the game schedule by 8:31. We don't have it ready yet, mostly because we want to make sure that our 5U and 6U volunteers have filled all the spots. I have about 5 to 6 emails to go through saying, yes, I will coach, but they're not in the system yet. So that's primarily a reason for why we don't have a game schedule yet, but we'll make it work. If your team is,
and that's Jen, such a great point, right, in the chat. If you're like, wait, my team is not on here at all, it's likely because they're either 5U or 6U, and they practice and play on the Saturday itself.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jen and Gwen, for explaining it. If to me it's obvious, for our new coaches it's not. Why are we not on here? Thank you so much for asking that question and explaining it as well.
Before we go to the last section, which is on resources, I just want to open it up and see, these are tips that we find as helpful to be an effective coach, but would love to hear if there are any best practices that you guys have seen work really well for yourselves too.
Hey, Gwen.
Go for it, Marcel.
Yeah, something that we found effective and we used it in Upper Girls a few times is, if you're stuck on a drill to run, like use YouTube. Like we look up drills, they're easy. And a lot of times you don't even have to go through the motions of like trying to explain it to everybody. They can watch the video, understand what they're supposed to do, and then you just go like work on executing it. And so I've been caught in that trap sometimes of like trying to over engineer a practice and think of different things or different ways of, developing skills. And YouTube is a great resource for that. And, it's free content, it's out there, and it's easy to use. So just want to share that with the group.
Love it. What a great segue to this last section, which is just about coaching resources, right? So YouTube is definitely one. There are a couple others that are provided here by the league through AYSO, you can see in blue, but then also the Mojo Sports app, which is fantastic for communication, but then also for coaches. They have drills and training videos as well that you can use. Now, typically, I think the Mojo's the sports app for the coaches. Lad, does everyone have the ability to see those videos, or is it just the coaches?
No, the players. So it depends how the practice is posted. If the coach chooses a specific session for the practice and assigns to it, then yes, all the players can actually see ahead of time what they would be doing that day and prep for it. So we did that with Upper Girls. I don't know if any of the players reviewed it, but the coaches are then able to
I
share.
was just thinking, I wish I could be so organized to do that. So I love, Marcel, your idea of like, hey, just give everyone the ability to do it through YouTube and see the video there too. These are useful coaching resources and at the fingertips for everyone. So definitely take advantage and leverage them where needed.
Well, then let me mention just one other point then. So when you take your coach training, there is a download of a PDF from AYSO University. It is an official AYSO coaching manual, a guide, and in the back, they will give you training sessions specific for that age group for the entire 10 weeks. You don't have to wreck your brain. Now, granted, there's no animations, it's a PDF. So you can print that out and have that, and you don't need to wreck your brain. They're designed by AYSO coach development staff from the national office. They review them every year and they publish it, and you don't need to wreck your brain. The same thing with Mojo Sports app. You open it up, there will be an AYSOU folder. It will give you practice sessions. It will say week 1 through week 10. You watch a 20-second video clip. It's about 20 to 30 seconds, and it will tell you exactly what you need to do with a practice session with a explanation over the video while the kids are doing it. And then they break it out, slow it down for you to show you exactly where they need to be positioned, etc. All that in about 30 seconds to under a minute.
I think we might have some visuals in the next couple of slides, just
Okay.
in case people haven't seen.
But just to mention, we do post the regional coach handbook on our website. The Mojo Sports app, you personally will get an invite to it. In fact, all the players will as well. But you as a coach will have additional resources there. Let me see. And you mentioned, oh, there's a visual. Thank you. Is that a video?
Oh yeah, and I think you can skip the video. Yeah, that's just a video of Mojo Scopes.
You guys can watch it on your own.
Yeah. Well, what I like about this visual is that it talks about like the roster, the chat, and the practice and game plans, right? So this is kind of the advantage of having the Mojo Sports app is definitely with the game plans, but I also leverage the roster and the team chat quite a bit in it.
So you can ask in your welcome letter, you can actually ask your parents saying, listen, I'm preparing for the practice session. Please mark, it takes you 2 seconds, whether your child is coming to the practice or not. So if you have a team of 12 and only 6 show up, you don't create a session plan for 12 players. I think it will help you. Again, not all parents did it for our teams religiously, but and especially for the game, if you're coming up with your formation and who will play in what quarter, having that information and asking parents to fill it out will help. Plus, you tell them, look, you need the Mojo Sports app anyway, because this is where all the league communication will be done through, and coach communication. You can send them a team chat with any information like we're delayed, I'm running late, whatever you need to do. I also forgot to mention you will be receiving rosters through the email. I know you received a copy of it. At least most of you, 5U and 6U did not yet, but everyone else did. What you didn't get is the parent cell phone information, emergency contact information, and any I guess physical or emotional challenges that the kids might have when the parent registered them, or allergies for that matter. So we will make sure that that information is added to that report and will be sent only to you guys, the coaches, and just for your team. So it's good for you to have that, save that information, have it handy, because if you need to call a parent who might have left them for a moment, you will have that information with you at all times. Also keep in mind, all the kids have signed, or parents rather, have signed an emergency treatment waivers. They are online. If you need to, you can access them. Just contact us. We'll show you how. It's primarily to provide care if ambulance arrives. to say, do parents give permission to treat? Again, EMTs don't need that permission, but if they're taking them to the hospital might be limited in what they can do unless they have that waiver. Again, I don't see a situation where the parents are not there, you can't reach them, but please contact us. We'll make sure you get that if you need it.
But I think this is a good stopping point because we just have a few things left, but it's more, I think we can cover that off in the summary, email summary, and just the deck that we send everyone.
I agree.
Any questions? Again, huge thanks for those who joined today. And if you have any questions, feel free to let us know. Okay, well, we really appreciate everyone being able to squeeze this in, especially last minute. I'm sure that I'm going to run upstairs and try to get mine to go to sleep. I'm sure you guys are also in a similar boat if they're not already asleep, trying to get the bedtime routine going. So again, thanks. Reach out to us. We'll send this over to you via email over the next couple of days where you have the summary and the slides as well. Thanks, everyone. We're looking forward to seeing you guys on the pitch.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
I'll